decade, since we're asking our listeners to text in their thoughts on what has changed in Montreal or in their lives, I would like to get the insider view, the host from the host chair. What have you seen change in Montreal from your very special chair that you're in here? Because you get to talk to a lot of people that that the rest of Montreal doesn't necessarily get to sit down with. So what have you seen or heard that represents the change over the past decade in Montreal?
So I'm thinking, when you asked me that about 10 years ago, when we had Gérald Tremblay and Frank Zampino, that was the administration that was in City Hall. There was Gilles Vaillancourt in Laval. Then Gérald Tremblay left. We had Michael Applebaum for a time, and it was changed to Denis Coderre. And there was this sort of strongman type figure that was in the leadership positions of the cities, of the Montreal area cities, and people were starting to lose their patience with corruption, and it was all as we were sort of kicking off 2010. The cracks were starting to show, and you did have. I remember very clearly one day when Gilles Vaillancourt came into the studio, and he really felt that he should be bowed down to, basically.
Well, he was, it seemed like he was mayor of Laval forever.
Yes, for decades. No, and you did sort of have to worship at his altar, or at least so he thought, I think. And he would come in here, and who's this sort of, upstart Anglo radio host asking him? I'm not the only person that asked him direct questions, for heaven's sakes, but I certainly did. And I remember at one point where he stormed out of this studio for having been asked a corruption question and was not happy. Michael Applebaum as well. His flack would call into the office many times and say, "How dare you ask Michael Applebaum about these construction questions?" Well, both of those guys ended up in jail.
And it's your job.
And it's my job.
It's your job. It's absolutely your job.
But it illustrates that things have changed. I know people out there have problems with Ballet Plump, but they're not exactly the same problems. I mean, there's a different sense, I think, at City Hall, and not obviously corruption's not gone, but it's not what it was, is it?
Mm-hmm. So that's your sense from the host chair in terms of what's gone on in the city, but I also want to ask about what's gone on with you. Today is your last day in the Daybreak host chair. I want you to think back to your first day in the Daybreak host chair and tell me how you have changed since then.
Yeah, it was so exciting, it's always exciting when the microphone goes on. It's always fun. It really is. And I think one of the big things that's changed, I'm looking at the text message line, and people, there is just such a communion with the listeners. When I first started, this is going back way back to kind of 13 years ago, and we would get emails, and I was pushing for the team to establish the text message line, which we didn't have, because I thought it is, this is all about you folks listening. It is. It's about informing you, enlightening you, and bringing you into the discussions that we have, and we weren't really able to do that, and yet the technology was there, and now it is, and now they are here, and they're here every day, and it is such a dynamic conversation. I love that, and I do want to thank everybody for getting in touch, and I am getting all the messages that you're sending. I'm not reading them out, because if I did, I would sound like that golfer that just had in the other day. But yeah, now I find, wow, I feel, Sherry, as a host anyway, I just feel so much more relaxed. I think in the last, especially after being away for 9 months, I felt, this just feels very homey to me, and I just kind of let it all hang out. Maybe sometimes too much.
No, I don't think so. I think that you, to me anyways, you do seem more relaxed. But even before you were away for your break, your temporary break, 9 months break, and it's just been amazing because so many of us have been, of course, learning from you. But what I think is so beautiful and so inspiring is that watching you learn also, that you are still, despite all your experience, and some people get really, it happens sometimes that people can get kind of arrogant about their experience, and I find that despite all your experience, you're always open to learning and evolving and working with us while also supporting the rest of the team and mentoring. So that is something that I've appreciated a lot, and the more you're relaxed, it lets everyone else be relaxed and do their best work as well. So I just want to thank you for that.
Wow, I appreciate that. I think that it's hard to comment on whether you're arrogant or not, but I think 10 or 13 years ago I did, there was the word in French is suffisance. I think there was a bit more of a suffisance. And now, now it's like the awesome thing about this job is that you just sort of soak it all in and you just talk to so many people. And I feel that there has been a journey along those lines. So yeah, and not least thanks to you. And we've done some great stuff together. And you off there have helped me to understand a lot of things, notably about race.
We've had some pretty great and intense discussions at times,
Yes.
But wonderful discussions. I want to get back to your decision to leave, because you've talked a lot about appreciating the audience and what a great job this is, a job you've loved, but it is your decision. You have chosen to leave. Absolutely. And this is the timing is your choice. Tell us why.
Yeah, it is the right time. It's 10 years in this latest stint, 2010 to 2020. It's 13 years in total. But I was thinking back, Daybreak has been such a big part of, of me even being in London. The whole reason that I am in London is because I was brought from Quebec City from a woman who used to be in charge here, and she was formerly the producer of Daybreak. One of my very closest friends was a Daybreak producer who then moved to London and put the bug in my ear. So there's always been a connection with Daybreak. But yeah, it's the time. Look, I think that one of the things that I learned last year, you talk to morning radio show hosts, and I remember having this conversation with Sheila Coles in Regina, the CBC host in Regina, and her having said to me, at a certain point, you just start to wonder, what else can I do? What actually are my skills? And the truth is that your skills are myriad when you're a radio show host, but you get so into the hamster wheel of working 5 days a week, actually 6 days a week, because we prepare Sunday for Monday, and then actually you kind of work on Saturday, and you start to define yourself by that. And what last year allowed me to do is realize that I have other projects that I want to do. And I don't just want the weeks to be all about that. I want to try a couple things before it gets back to Frank in Little Italy, who stopped me last week or yesterday and said, congratulations on your retirement. And I kind of, I don't think of it as retirement, because there's still things I want to do. I don't want to...
Tell us.
Well,
what do you want to do? What are you going to do?
I'm going to work right away again in the cheese shop. So that is going to happen, and I'm really looking forward to it. And they're looking forward to having me back. I love the people who work there. They're teaching me so much. Oh my God, there's so much to learn. It inspires me. It fascinates me. I'm thirsty for a deep knowledge, and a cheese is just a product. It's something that the cheeses we have are cheeses that date back recipes for hundreds of years, and they're living things. So that I want to do, but I'm also interested in doing a little bit of writing. I don't know whether I can do it, but I can't do it when I'm doing this because it just takes all my time.
Could you picture yourself hosting a show about cheese?
Oh, absolutely. Why not? I mean, maybe not right away. I think I need my kind of transition time, and that is a lot of what London is about. Going back to London, it is to get a little bit of transition time, and then we'll see. I'm certainly not saying, I'll never do another radio show, but I'll never do another morning radio show. One
that will let you sleep in.
Yeah.
A little more sleep.
I think
you've earned that. I think you've earned that. And just before I go, because I know you have a whole show left to do, but we just want to make sure this is not the end of your relationship with Montreal.
No.
You're not breaking up with Montreal.
No, and it actually, that I was thinking about that on the way in, because I thought you might ask me that and say, oh, he's leaving Montreal. No, I have roots in Montreal, and it is Montreal that in many ways sort of freed me, and it is what had me going to London, as I said, from that very close friend David Shannon, who was a producer at Daybreak, and he went off to London. He said, "Oh, you need to come. We'll have a ball together." And we did have sort of 4 or 5 years where we tore up the town. It was great fun, but that to me really was rooted in in Daybreak taught me so much. This is back to the 1990s, so it's been more than just the time I've been in the host chair. It's got a special place in the city. The city's got a huge piece of my heart's real estate, and no, I will never leave Montreal. It's possible to love two places too.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very hard to get rid of us. We will be in contact. We're going to follow your cheese adventures. And
well, you visited last summer.
I did, and I intend to visit again when that's possible. But I just want to thank you so much for the years that we have worked together. I guess it's only been about half of your time in the host chair, but it's been a wonderful time for me, professionally and personally. And thank you so much. And you just have to have a look at our Twitter feed to see how much everyone is loving and appreciating you today, Mike. So thank you for inviting me in to have this chat, and all the best.
Thank you, Sherry, and for all those days when we wandered around different parts of Montreal talking to strangers for
running up to strangers, chasing them down.
We had some really good times, and times to spend together as well. Sherry O'Kk, Daybreak Sherry O'Kk, who's currently at the CBC's Dock Project. Okay, that's enough of me. I feel like I've been talking for quite a while. It's time for Lita to give us the traffic.
But the thing is, Mike, Star 3 CBC is all about you. People calling in to say their not goodbyes, but how much they love you. And I thought that was kind of nice. And Carlo called from NDG just to pass a message along to
Thank you, Carlo.
And